And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Geek Talk. This is the show where we get to just get super geeky about all the things that we are doing for our clients and behind the scenes, and how we're making ClickFunnels bend to our will and creating great customer journeys in the process. So, today we thought it would be appropriate since we just launched our GeekOut Academy. This is the first week where all of our Continuum and Continuity Catalyst folks are coming in. We have 35 people right now in the program, which is just fantastic. We are just over the moon about that. And we still have time. So you have until Thursday at midnight to join. And I will drop the link for anybody who's interested in that. All right. So, but I am just looking super quick to make sure that I can get everybody's comments. If you're joining, give me a little, hey there, how you doing? And Dan might be joining us in a little bit. So, which we'll just welcome that surprise or that guest appearance if he is. If not, then I will go ahead and press. Okay. So I am, it's always so fun to, so one of the tricks of going live, we talk about this with our group. Oh, here we go. Here's Dan. All right, let me bring him on in. All right. Hey, Dan, we are live. Hi. So glad you
Yeah,
could join.
something was going on with my Facebook, and I had to refresh the page to see your message with the link.
Oh,
So
so weird. Well, I'm glad you're here now.
I don't know, because I was sending you a message that says, "Hey, are we going to go live?" And then I
I
reloaded
know.
the page. It's like, oh,
I'm like,
she
I'm
sent
waiting
me
for
the link
you.
10 minutes ago. Jeez. Okay, whatever.
No worries. No worries. No worries. We're just getting started. So I was just saying how we have 35 people now in our program. So exciting. And people keep coming in every day. And the doors will close midnight on Thursday. And we will kick everything off with our first set of workshops on Friday. So typical to launch week, it has been just kind of all hands on deck. And we've been doing quite a bit trying to plan out our customer journeys. Hey, Christopher, it's good to see you. Um, and so I thought what we could do today is Dan has been behind the scenes working on our Geek Out membership. And of course, we have like a standard that we know is here of what we give to our clients. Sometimes those are like 21K builds, right? With progress tracking and all the nine. But we're like, we are going to be good entrepreneurs and we're not going to wait until we have the perfect solution. We're going to launch with our MVP to get everything going and eventually build on top of it. So it has been good for all of us, I think, just to kind of push us and something that we'll encourage with all of our geeks who are in our community as well. So very excited. But we're going to go behind the scenes and just talk a little bit about the ramp up to building our membership area and then do a little bit of a deep dive. We're going to get super geeky with you guys about what we did and how we did it. And if you are interested in doing something similar, then you're going to want to join our Continuity Catalyst program again, which starts on Friday, or you have until midnight Thursday to kick everything off. So okay, so let's go to similar to what we talk about with all of the members in our community is whenever we're starting a new membership project, we always identify what is the intention behind the membership experience that we're building. And our intention was that we wanted it to be first and foremost the place where all of Geek Out content could live. That's just the logistical aspect of it. But we also wanted it to be a place where our customers could come and they could follow along with the program that they're in and get additional resources if they need it while they're going through that program. So that's at a really high level. So we also had some other intentions in terms of where do we want to see our people? What do we want them to do? Some of the big ones were, well, they have linchpin plans. We're going to help them get to that linchpin plan, and then we're going to help them execute on that linchpin plan with the idea is that they are launching and learning. And they are getting themselves out there and all of their geeky genius out to the people who they want to help with actually making a behavioral change. So and there's a list of other intentions that we added. Once we had that, then we had a working session where we call it the brain. So it's basically a brain dump of, okay, what is the customer journey that we're taking them on? Now, we did 4 iterations of this because initially we were going to do a challenge into a sprint model, which is a very different experience than what we ended up with. But so we originally had the challenge into a sprint. So we mapped out the entire sprint. We had all of the key customer journey milestones that we know are critical. The first one being they accept the identity. The second one being psychological safety. The third one being high structure, low choice, high support, do the thing, right? And on and on. So we know that these are critical steps in terms of increasing engagement with customers. So we did that as our very first pass for the sprint. But then fast forward, we all were kind of not loving challenges. Well, actually, Dan was really loving challenges. The rest of us were like, I don't really love a challenge. Catherine came out with her 2-day challenge model. We're like, okay, I think we have enough that we can get butts in seats and we have a challenge model that works. So we're like, let's do it. So we did our 2-day challenge. It went really well. And at the end of that, because 2 days is enough of that event momentum, and we already had a good contingency of people, we didn't need a sprint model. We didn't need any more kind of injections of momentum. What we needed now is to actually then make traction and allow for people to have a slightly different pace if they needed to. So we know that that is best for a course model coupled with a library model. Okay. Now we're a little bit unique in that we have a lot of different libraries. And so I'm going to show you guys the brain. And again, this may not make, this might be a little bit hard to read on the screen, but I just kind of want to, I'm going to talk through it. So if you can't see it very clearly, that's okay. I'm just going to give you kind of the big picture of what it is that we did. So in here, so now that we have the intention, there's 2 parallel paths that started. The first path is we started really diving into the brain. And so what you're looking at here is first and foremost is breaking it down.
You're not sharing your screen, are you?
Okay, thanks, Dan. Let me share.
There you
go. Okay, cool. So first and foremost, it's breaking it down into, and let me blow this up for you. It's breaking it down into what are the actual offers that we're going to sell, or what are the products that are bundled together in a particular offer. So, yeah. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, now we can read it.
Okay. Cool. So we always knew that our GeekOut Academy needed to have some free things because we believe in membership as a lead gen technique. It needed to have our paid program, and we have 2 paid programs. We have our level 1, which is our GeekOut Academy Cornerstone, and we have our level 2, which is our GeekOut Academy Continuum. And so we needed to be able to sell these and turn them on or off based on what people purchased. We also recognized that in our free material, we need those to be more library based. The number one reason that people usually come to GeekOut is they're searching to do something on ClickFunnels, right? And so when we have that type of person, then it's best that we allow them a library to be able to match their query, their question with the resource that we have available. So that's the type of experience that we needed to provide. We also give a lot of consults on tech. And so that, again, the Geek Stack resources is our library of like our should I switch series, and how do you decide on the right type of tech. But again, it's a library experience because people are going to come with their own set of keywords and questions. We have a bunch of material, and so we need to provide a library experience for them to just match up their query with what they're trying to find. And then same with our Geek Mod community. Now, Geek Mod community is our jargon, but it is all of the enhancers and the tips and the tricks and the code hacks that everybody comes to Dan for, right? These are all going to be a part of that community. And again, it's a library experience because people come with a question and we just have a library of options for them. So we knew all 3 of these are going to be free, available to the public as a lead gen technique, and at the end we need to provide a library experience for people to get connected to the thing. So once we are starting to form these offers, the parallel track that happens is we always have what we call a membership guide. So in the membership guide, this is intended to basically say, okay, where design and intention meet plan, this is the architectural blueprint of what we're building. So between the brain and the membership guide, that is how we pull everything together. Okay. So in here, it is just our brand, right? So it's just to remember like, hey, here's the brand guide. Here's what we're following. And then it is a breakdown for the login screen and what that experience is like with all the assets and the background image and links to all of that. And then Dan does some really cool stuff on animation, which we'll see here in a second. And then it also then is what is the dashboard experience. And so you can see it's actually morphed from the real-time thing we're going to show you in just a second. But we knew, again, that the general experience is eventually when we have progress tracking, it's going to be hello, the person's name. It's going to have a focus here, but that was not MVP. That'll be future. So for now, it's going to have these free resources. So building and ClickFunnels, you can see building and ClickFunnels, the GeekStack resources, the GeekOut mod, right? The GeekOut mod, and then GeekOut community events, GeekOut community events. So you can see now these starting to translate between the offers and the products and access control in the architecture, AKA the brain, and then how it'll actually be experienced by the customers on the front end. Okay, the next thing down is the actual things that we're selling. So this is the continuity catalyst. That's the main offer that we sold at the end of the challenge. We know that this is a paid, and we know that only our level 2s get access to it. The funnel kits, this is a course model. So we want people to go self-paced, but in a sequential way through the program. So it's going to be much more highly structured and using those traditional milestones that we know are important in order for somebody to have a great experience. And so that officially will all start on Friday. In addition, we have Geek Funnel Kits, which we are going to sell separately to people. So it's a series of how do I actually from beginning to end build and launch and design and construct a funnel for a particular part of my linchpin. And so we have those, but they're like, if I'm doing an opt-in, there's a series of 6 lessons. So it is course-like, it's like a mini course to build and use the wireframes, but we needed to make sure that each one of those, because we're going to sell each one separate. And so this is a course and it has about 6 sections on the back end so that we can sell them all separately. But our continuity catalyst people and our continuum people have access to everything. So now it allows us the versatility to sell them individually, but also provide access to them to people who buy. Okay. And then it goes on. So we have this plan of all of our offers and what is the intentional experience model that's going to go with the offer. So once we have this, then Dan knows, and we'll open up our actual site here in a second. Dan knows there's special things that are happening when we're building in a library experience versus if we're doing a course experience, that's also different, or an event experience. There's different things in the actual membership experience that are happening in order to pull off that experience model. And so we identified the offer and the experience model that goes with it. And we did the membership guide to say, okay, all these things, and we're making all of these design assets for everything that's included. And then we have a general, here's what a library experience would look like. Here's what a library lesson experience would look like. Here's what a course lesson would look like. So we have it all mapped out and we know exactly like when something's active and when somebody's on it. We have all that mapped out. So then between this and the brain, which is, and we'll keep going on like each one of these then is built out, then Dan has everything he needs to start working his magic to build inside of ClickFunnels. Dan, is there anything that I missed on the brain that you think is important to point out before we switch over to the actual real live membership area?
The real live membership area.
Real live. And hi, Christy. Hi, James. So glad you guys are all here.
Well, what I would really say on any of this is, you had said it earlier, is that you just have to get going and you just have to get building stuff. And so if you're running your own program, you got your own challenge going, or whatever you're doing to get people into this thing, even just a simple opt-in page, your MIFKI, if you want to call it that, your whatever, is just get it going, because it doesn't have to be perfect right away. Let the people know, hey, we're still building this out. If you see anything in there that isn't quite right, let us know. Send us a message, because we know that it's not perfect yet. And, you guys got in, especially if you got like founding member pricing or something, you go, you guys got in at a much cheaper price and we're going to sell this in the future. and you know that it's not 100% done yet, and you know there's some bugs in there, and so help us out, let us know what you see. And I'll tell you, people love helping other people out in situations like that, and they especially love pointing out if you have like typos or spelling errors or anything else. I mean, I know for me, I see those and I just want to rip my hair out because I just want to tell somebody about it. And so it's just
It's good
it's just
feedback.
part of who we are. And so openly say to people, hey, even something as small as a typo, just let us know, and we'll get it fixed up right away. And so the very first time you go through this, Andrea's done this, I don't know how many times now. Just, you look at this, you go, oh my God, this thing is huge. How am I going to be able to do this? I suspect inside of our training, they'll probably teach you how to do this
We
stuff.
will. We will.
I don't know what they're doing. They don't tell me anything. They just keep me locked in the basement, and they just
Program.
all day long. I mean, I got no fingers left because all I've been doing is writing code on them. It's horrible. So yeah, just do it. It doesn't. I mean, we're going to show you something here that's all purdy and everything, but I've been doing this for years, and I couldn't make it look this purdy without the help of Nicole to actually do the images. Because if I had it my way, this thing would be black and white. That's about all the skill level I have when it comes to that. So it would be black and white, and that's it. So how do we want to show it?
Yes. I got to do a couple shout outs. So first of all, Stephen is with us, and Stephen is also a customer who's benefiting from the multi-level experience, which we're about to show you. He's also somebody who did just take action. He's an amazing action taker. He has a great program called The Path. And so we at the same time that we were building ours, Dan also built Stephen's multi-level, which we showed a couple times ago. And so we'll have to highlight it again because it's actually evolved a lot and he's added a bunch of content to it. So that's super cool. And he is also using it as a lead gen technique with a free section that then upsells into his continuity. So really great program. And then Donnie, yes, of course, we would love all that feedback. That's exactly what Dan was just talking about. So send that our way. Don't hold anything back. We would love it. And Christy, I am so glad that you found us on YouTube. And I just have to give a shout out too, that YouTube has been our best source of traffic. And it is one of the ones that we, when we talk about Wild West traffic in the linchpin plan, it is the one that we just advocate night and day. Thank you for YouTube for connecting us. And I'm so glad you're here. And then, yes, James has his designer, definitely. And Michael Vale's with us. Dan, he's sending you good wishes to hope you get out of the basement. No, Michael, you need to stay in the basement. We have a lot to
do. Donnie's point here, and I think so often people are afraid to tell someone that their baby is ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a joke, it's a cliche. It's like, oh, don't tell the woman her baby's ugly. Well, her baby's ugly, okay? And if our stuff is broken, if our stuff is not working, if you don't understand something, especially if you get into the program and there's any part along the way that you don't understand something, we need to know about it because it is our fault as a communicator to not properly give you that information. So if you don't understand it, if you're confused, it really falls on us to figure out a better way to communicate it to you. Because hopefully we're not just flapping our jaws because we got nothing better to do. Hopefully we're doing it because we're trying to impart something very important onto you and to teach you something. And if you're not understanding it, if you're confused, you have to let us know because we have to course correct and figure out a better way to get that information out to everybody.
Well, and I think on that note too, first of all, Stephen just made a really funny comment. He said, is my website ugly? No, it's amazing, Stephen. And he had no way of talking about
you. Your baby is ugly. I don't know about your website. Your website's beautiful. I know that. Your baby, I don't know about that.
Stephen, we did a whole cyberpunk theme. It's super cool. But I think on that same note, so Sophie in our GeekOut Academy group asked a really good question about, so out in product development world, there's a whole thing called user experience research, where you can actually get feedback. And there's a very specific way that you can go about getting feedback from customers before you launch something. In this entrepreneurial space, there oftentimes is not enough lead time to afford for a lot of that. And so in the academy, we're going to talk a lot about, if you do have a little bit of time, there are techniques that you can do to get feedback from customers, behavioral based feedback, so that you can actually ask like, hey, does my thing actually create the behavioral change that I want it to do? Are my customers able to do the thing? But to Dan's point, again, in entrepreneurial space, it's like, we just got to launch and get the feedback after we launch. So fantastic. So Donnie, short answer is give us the feedback.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys see the difference there? See, I told a story about a baby that's ugly, and then she like got all these like big words and scientific stuff that, you know, us little farm boys, we don't understand that stuff. So
It's a good combo. It's a good combo.
yeah. So I'll
Um,
translate it for people that came from the farmland like I did. How's that? You big
Love it.
fancy city girls, you can use those big words.
Yes. So from the brain and from the membership guide, and we know that we try really hard that no matter what we give from a content standpoint, there's always a behavioral ask associated with it because we care about behavioral change. So the brain tells us all of that. So Dan takes the brain and he takes the membership guide, and then he does amazing things like this. And so this is what you're looking at right now. Here, I'll log out and log back in so they can get the full effect, Dan.
Oh, okay. You're
So,
not going to share my screen.
oh yeah, do you want to guide? Do you want to
No,
lead?
actually, probably better because I think the internet problems I'm having, I think, are on my end.
Okay,
That's why I went dark there for a while, is because I crashed on my end. So
got
probably
it.
better
Okay,
if you share just in case I go away again.
okay. So super important. And for those of you who are still with ClickFunnels 2.0, this is probably one of our biggest sticking points with 2.0, that if you are in 2.0, we of course will work with you in order to get past this. But this is probably one of the biggest sticking points right now. And that is, in 2.0, we have no ability to really control the login experience. And whereas in 1.0, Dan has completely leveraged what is already there, but made it 10 times better. And we have almost complete control over what's happening for the login experience for the customer. Because what we know, we learned really early on, and some of you might have heard me tell this story, is actually how Dan and I first started really building membership sites. And that was, I was running a summit. It had 500 people that were registered. And these are all, the average age of the people who were registered was 82. So they were all senior. They didn't have a lot of tech background. They all wanted to just learn how to watch birds. And that's what the summit was all about. So I was using a traditional ClickFunnels out of the box membership at that time. I kind of knew how to soup it up a little bit from Dan, but I really hadn't gone too far. And him and I really hadn't started working together. So 500 people came. The morning of the summit, I got 300 help tickets on the login experience, because nobody understood, like, did I have an account? Did I have a password? What was my password? And ClickFunnels has very little to no error handling, and the ability to switch between making an account and logging into account is non-existent. So after a very stressful summit and hours in help tickets and getting extra like on calls and tech support, and I was like, I can never experience that again. Dan, you have to help me. So we came up with these 6 use cases of different login experience issues that Dan completely addressed through error prevention and error handling and error messaging, so that if they have an account but it's the wrong password, if they don't have an account and it's the wrong password, or they don't have an account, the password doesn't matter. They do have an account, or if they are using the wrong email. And so it just handles all of those different scenarios in a really cool way to walk somebody through being able to get into their account. Dan, do you want to say anything on that?
Well, just, I mean, best way to explain what you just said is to show them an example. So one of the things is click on a need to create your account. So somebody lands on this page here, and so there's a built-in feature in ClickFunnels that says, okay, well, no, actually, no, it's the other way around. Already a member login here is what they provide to you. So if you land on this page here, this would be the account creation page, or the registration form is what it's known as. So this is the registration form. Well, if you already have an account, ClickFunnels already gave you that. It says already a member login here. So if you click there, you go to the login form. Well, what I put in there is if somebody ends up here in the login form and they don't already have an account, I put a link there so they can go back to the registration form. Now you're going to say to yourself, okay, well then anybody can register and get onto the inside. Well, the beauty of ClickFunnels, both versions now, but with 1.0 here, we're speaking of specifically, is on the inside. If you have your sections restricted properly, that content never loads onto the user's computer. So if I create an account and I go in and I don't have certain tags or products set in my profile, I will never see that content. So there's realistically zero chance of anybody being able to get in there and see content if you have it set up properly. So one of the techniques that we talk about is actually using a membership area as lead generation. So that somebody can come in here, create an account, go inside, see a bunch of free stuff, and then at that point you can upsell them once they've had a chance to use some of your free stuff. Plus, at the same time, you just capture an email address, and they're more likely to give you a good email address here when they're logging into an account and creating an account to get something than they are if they're just opting in. They're going to give you whatever garbage Gmail, Yahoo account they got.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
So now, if Andrea have you actually created an account using this email address?
I have. Yeah, sorry. I'll log out and do one I haven't yet.
Well, we can do it either way, just to give them. So just put in any old, just make one up.
And this is the case where I don't remember if I have a login or not, but I think I do, and it's always this. So let me try it. But I don't actually have an account yet.
Now, in this case here, ClickFunnels will give you an error message, but you'll see here, it'll flash on the screen for a little bit in the upper left-hand corner. You saw it there. It's a tiny little message, and
that nobody sees.
And what?
Nobody sees. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
I'm stealing your time.
Yeah, so it's a little message up in the upper left-hand corner. It's even green instead of being red. I think it's green. And then, so what we did is we put in here that, okay, we know what an error was because they were trying to log in with something that didn't exist. So, okay, great. We're going to have them create an account or reset their password. So they click that button there, and now they have a chance to create an account. But also, if it wasn't, they just typed it in wrong or something like that, you still have access to already a member log in here, and then you can go there as well. Go back to the login page and correct what you made wrong. And you can also, you see you got forgot your password, you can reset the password and all that as well.
And if I try to log in and be like, okay, I've actually already created an account, but I totally forget, I'm having a senior moment, and be like, okay, I don't think I have an account yet, so I'm going to try it. So this is a known email that I should have an account with. And then again, it helps me. This email has already been registered. You may have an account. Click to log in before. And it takes me right to here and helps me.
Now, there are animations on this page, but the problem is when we're streaming and everything else, the animations get really jerky. But on the next pages, you're going to see there is actually smooth flowing animations on there and stuff. But it just, when you're streaming, it just looks bad no matter what.
Yeah. So now I've logged in with my right account and my right password. Yay. And we did decide to use Voomly for our membership area. And this is, we are going to play around a lot on our dashboard area, especially once we get progress tracking in. This is going to have a lot of revamp. But we wanted to make sure that people had a really nice landing right away. And then this is also where we can play with some Easter eggs and some delighters, as we've talked about in our account. Christy asked a really good question. She said, this is brilliant. Is that only possible with Classic? So the short answer is yes. It is only possible with Classic right now. Dan has tried to do a couple of his hacks on 2.0. But the problem is that they're still doing a lot of work on the code, and there's some additional architectural things that are pretty fundamental differences that we have not been able to figure out. It took us on average about a year before we really started to crack the code with Classic 1.0, and then maybe another year and a half before we really started to turn up the heat. Would you say that's true, Dan?
I don't know. I was hacking membership sites 3 years before I knew you. So
that's
I
true.
don't know.
That's true. You were. Yeah.
What I would say to Christy's question here is with 2.0, because they use that magic login thing, the magic link thing and the whole, I mean, the whole process you got to go through to log in? The answer is really no. Because it's a totally closed system that we don't even have access to that page as far as I know right now. You could change like the background gradient, and you can change your icon on there in the dashboard settings area. Otherwise, there is no access to that page. And so in order to do what we do here, we use a combination of JavaScript and CSS. And the JavaScript is the code that essentially changes what the pages look like. So a lot of these pages are built out to look this way. Most of this page is actually built right into ClickFunnels. But then we use the JavaScript to move things around on the page, put them in different places. You're going to see here, we're going to build this library model, and it's going to arrange all the categories and everything. We use the JavaScript for that. In the case, again, back to 2.0, on that initial login page, there's nowhere for us to be able to inject any JavaScript into that page. And so therefore we can't affect it, period. So I'm hoping, praying that ClickFunnels does away with that page and gives us better access to everything, because that's, and it's serious, one of the reasons, one of the things that is keeping us from wanting to use 2.0 memberships. That and one other big issue that I have with it. But so at this point here, it's kind of wait and see. But the beauty of 1.0 is this thing is battle tested.
Yeah.
This thing doesn't break. We know, I know how to really manipulate this in many, many different ways. And I'm learning every day. And we're simplifying the process, and we're making our templates much better and tighter as we go along. And these memberships here will do everything that a 2.0 membership will do. And because we can more effectively code it more easily, it'll do a lot more.
Right now, I was going to say, I think it'll do more. And if you're in our Continuity Continuum program, our Continuity Catalyst program, you will get a multi-level share file that comes with that program. So you don't have to know the code. Like, we made it through a lot of trial and tribulation and handing this over to clients. We made it so that we can hand over the multi-level share funnel, and with simple step-by-step instructions, it's something that you can manage and work with. So, but then if you also want to go deeper, we are going to do workshops where we will dive into that code, and Dan will reveal all in terms of how we were able to make these multi-level memberships and what amazing code hacks he was able to do. So, but we've made it so that both audiences can have this experience for their people. So, okay, remember back to the brain where we were talking about, okay, we're going to identify what the offer is, and then we're going to identify the experience. And we know how to build each one of these experience models. We know what is needed in order for them to be successful. So a library model, for instance, the number one thing on a library is that people are going to come to us with all kinds of keywords and things that they might have heard us talk about, or they might have heard in the communities that you serve. And so they're like, I want to know more about blah. So, well, because a lot of people come to us for ClickFunnels, we simply said, okay, we're going to use the ClickFunnels navigation as the categories in our library. We know that a well-organized library helps people with keywords that they have in their head connect with the content that they're needing. So that's one of the techniques in a library experience that makes it really good. Other ones would be like recommender systems or favoriting, which again comes a little bit later down the line for us. But the first pass on a really great library experience is to have an organization of what are the key categories of what people are going to be coming to us for. And so that's what you see. When somebody comes into our Building and ClickFunnels library, and again, this would be a free resource. The intention is lead gen. They're going to come in and get the resources that they need. They would see here all of the different categories of things that they could possibly be learning about. And then it's mirrored over here on the left. And there are lessons that are associated with each of the categories. And yes, a lesson can be associated with more than one category, which is so cool. That's what Dan was able to do. Dan, do you want to take it away and talk a little bit about this?
Well, yeah, because what you're looking at here, go back to the dashboard page. And you're going to see here as this is happening, there's animations on here, but they look clunky because we're streaming. So think of how most people lay out their 1.0 memberships, and the way they're basically doing it in 2.0 as well. So on the left-hand side, you got your navigation. On the right-hand side, you got your content. So you have your sections over here on the left. You click on your lesson, changes out the content on the right-hand side. Well, this is 1.0, but you're not going to see the navigation in here, certainly not the way you would normally see the navigation in here. Now, in theory, we could make every single lesson an image. And you could have 50 images on the screen here. And every time you just click on one of those lessons, one of those images, it could open up the lesson content. You could open up the lesson content by having it drop down from the top or slide in from the side. You could have it be a pop-up. You could have it be any way you want. And so the thing is there's no limitation in 1.0 as to what we can do with that content. And I will tell you the reason why that is because when this membership site loads, it loads everything all at once. Every single lesson. If you've got 100 lessons in there, it will load the 100 lessons simultaneously unless the content is restricted and the person doesn't have access to it, then that content doesn't load at all. So like I said earlier, they can't get to it because it's not on the page. It's not that it's just hidden somewhere. It doesn't load onto the page, period. So what we did here, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say what you're seeing here then is, like I said, we can take an image and map that image to a lesson. Well, in this case here, I didn't want to map the image to a lesson. I wanted to map the image to a group of lessons. And so in some cases, they are libraries, we are calling them. And again, a library, you would have categories and you have a bunch of lessons associated with that category. Or we could have more of a course style, whereas then it's more of the standard ClickFunnels kind of thing, where you're going to see a couple of sections appear and it's just going to have a bunch of lessons inside of it. So in that case there, we just kind of take the average. Is this a course here?
It's a library.
Library. Open up a course real quick.
Yep.
I don't think we got much content in the courses yet, but it's going to open it up and it's going to look more like standard ClickFunnels because it's going to have, what was the one I had two? Yeah, that's the one I had two sections. And you can see I got my test in there, as you know, because we're moving and we're putting in content, we're building stuff. So you're going to have your standard 2, 3, 4 sections in here. As you click on a lesson, what it'll do is it'll collapse the other sections that's not in here yet, mostly because I forgot to do it until I just saw it right now. I realized it's not working right. So as you click on each one, the sections will collapse, and then it'll show the content. And then also, as Andrea's clicking on things here, you can see it moving around. So just click on that lesson again that you're currently on, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one other thing I have to remember to do is have it scroll to the top. So when you click on a lesson, it should automatically scroll it to the top. And now click on it again. And because I want to show something here. So the way I set this up, and the green boxes at the bottom, you should have seen actually slide down from the top. So on the load of this, they slide down from the top. But also, if you notice here, do it one more time, Andrea, watch the video section here, because the video actually maintains the size. And because the animation isn't working right on the live here, you're not really seeing it. But go click on the third one down. What's going to happen now with this third one down, of course, it doesn't do it when it's supposed to do it. What it should have done is it should have loaded those 3 green boxes up towards the top, and then the video is going to pop in. And I started looking at that last night, and I said, I don't like that. I want that image. I want the video to take up its space no matter what, so that when everything paints onto the page, it all paints in place. And so I wrote just a little bit of CSS last night to ensure that that box always maintains its shape and that it also has a dark background. Because what we found with Voomly here, whether you put it in as a video element or if you put it in as a JavaScript HTML box, it does not take up its space. It does not, what they would call it in programming, it's not in the flow of the page until it loads. So therefore, it doesn't take up any space until the video inside of it loads, and then it takes up its space. So what I did is I forced it to take up the space all the time so it maintains the page properly as the page loads. So
And
just those kind of little things we're looking at, because I don't like to go to something like this and it's all clunky and there's stuff flying around. I want it to be a nice, smooth animation as it comes up.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay. So just like Dan said, so these are our live.
Now, real quick, just we'll roll through that real quickly, because as Andrea was saying, and again, we don't have this totally set up up yet. So let's say we got a lesson, but it would fit under the categories of analytics, products, and funnels. What we did is we said, okay, we're going to give each one of these lessons these categories, and then we are going to duplicate that lesson and then stick it into all three of the categories. So as you click on the categories, you're going to see the animations working in here properly. So open up any one of the categories, Andrea, like analytics, I think has 4 test lessons in it.
We loaded up a bunch in account setup too.
Okay, so now open up something else. Now what will happen is open up a couple more categories, because what will happen then is as she clicks on that one category, all the rest of them should collapse. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be really unhappy. So click on lesson 3 there. So as she clicks on lesson 3, or click on, okay, there we go. Okay, so she clicked on the lesson 2 there. It closed up all of the categories, and then it turns that one active lesson, it turned that one red. And now as she's clicking on the category headers, what is going to be on this page right here is going to be a listing of all the lessons for each one of the categories. So, and I think you have one of those built out, maybe. Yep. Oh, it was in the replays. I think you had one built out.
Account setup.
I don't think, are those set up?
Yeah. So this is installing a WordPress theme or workplace. So that's right here. And then organizing your theme. And so these are all deep linked in.
Yeah. Well, open that section back up again. Click on the header. Mm-hmm. So actually click on the header itself, not the, because it should pull up the account settings page if you click on the account setup. There you go. Now click on installing a theme in Workspace. Okay. I was afraid of that. That is an error. I got to fix that. Okay. I got a little bit more work to do. But again, that's the thing is just get out there and get building this stuff, and it's not perfect. Now, what you're seeing here is uber advanced. Okay. This is not the kind of stuff that we're going to expect anybody in this training to understand out of the box, because you're not. So we're going to start with the easy stuff, but the easy stuff still has, I'd probably say there's at least 15 different hacks in the one that I know that we're giving everybody. There's at least 15 different hacks that we put in there. It's going to make it so much easier and so much better for everybody going forward and to be able to use it themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the exciting thing is that we do have it all dialed in that depending on what your linchpin strategy is, we know that you have, a dramatic demonstration going into a level 1. We know with level 1s, usually that is an event type of experience, a library experience, and usually some form of like a mini course kind of experience. And so we know that those are all included. If you have a dramatic demonstration and you're doing a bulk offer with a continuity, we know that that has a course experience and a library experience, an event experience, and a coaching experience potentially. So we know the types of experiences that are best suited for those types of membership experiences with the level 1 and level 2. And so during our program and in our workshops, we're going to map out that customer journey and that service model to make sure that you can still get those high levels of engagement. So you have the tech, you have the journey, you have the business strategy. There's really nothing stopping you from just being uber successful in what you're trying to accomplish and helping your people get the change that they are desiring to make. So it's very exciting. The other thing that I will note that I don't know that you mentioned, Dan, I know you said that we could choose to hide things on here, which for instance, anybody who hasn't paid for the Continuity Catalyst, we don't want them to even see this option, right? Like it's not even, we don't want them to have access to all of the links to the events and all of that good stuff. But if they are coming in and they are just consuming our free stuff, we do want them to be able to see the upsell potential. So we will show these, but it has a little lock icon on it. So when somebody clicks on it, it redirects them into the sales cycle. So hugely powerful, again, as that lead gen technique where they can see the free stuff, they can get access to it, they can see the events that are happening. But then if they want to come on in further, they're going to need to go through that sales funnel in order to come in. One other thing that I'll note that we do a lot with our customers is that all of the content that's in our free resources, you will find on our YouTube channel. There is the content in there is the exact same that we put on our YouTube channel. We've just organized it a little bit better, and we've just grounded it into a little bit more into the jargon and the context of our world. But it is 100% free content. So as you're producing your YouTube content in your Wild West, you can easily take that same content, just put a little organization on it, and then put it into a reference library inside of your membership area. It's like a buffet effect, right? Where I come in and I'm like, oh, they have a lot like of stuff here that I can reference, and it's easier for me to access than if I were just to have a YouTube experience with them. So really cool technique and killed two birds with one stone. Which I say that a lot, by the way. I recognized the other day. I'm like, I need a new metaphor for that the gist of that statement. So if anybody knows one, I'm open.
Well, yeah, I mean the PETA people are going to come after you.
I know it's a horrible saying. Like, where did that even come from? Yeah. But cool. So we'll go ahead and wrap up, but I do want to just thank you all so much for tuning in and also being some of our brave and willing customers, both on our agency side and on our done with you side. I love seeing all the faces in the comments and even the new people who have come to us. Christy, love seeing you here. And if you guys do have any questions as you're building and trying to make these, drop it into our Facebook group. And if you're wanting to dive deeper and want help and support in doing it, then join the Catalyst program. Again, doors closed midnight on Thursday. We will drop the link so you guys can sign up, and we would just love to have you. Again, we already have a really good cohort of people that all just wildly support each other. I love seeing that, and we're ready to make some stuff happen before Funnel Hacking Live. So super exciting.
Well, anywhere, what the heck is that link?
Continuitycatalyst.com.
Isn't there a path?
There sure is. Let me pull it up here. Continuitycatalyst.com. There we go. And of course, as anybody who has been watching us, that subdomain is always the Continuity Catalyst. All right. And of course, that is not it. Let me pull up another one. All right. Oh, thank you, Dan. I'll just click on that. Let me show it here. All right, cool. We'll go ahead and put that up on the screen.
Wrong, and it worked. I got two slashes there before special, and it still worked. That really surprises me.
And it's not the special link. It's not the special link. It's just the Continuity Catalyst. And without the special hyphen is the one that is still open. Continuity Catalyst.
Sign up.
Is what happens. What's that?
What?
Catalyst.com. There we go. All right. Awesome. As that is loading. Again, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. There we go. That's what it is. And we did drop that down to $497 and then 6 months free of our continuum. So super, super exciting. Would love to have all of you guys in there and be able to help you build this amazing stuff. So again, I'll go ahead and drop that link in the chat. There we go. All right, and that is coming out to you guys. And awesome. Yep, you've got it, Jen. Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Thanks for letting us geek out with all of our awesome stuff that we love working on behind the scenes. And we will look forward to seeing all of you guys on Friday as we kick off the first workshop for the Continuity Catalyst program. So thank you. Thank you. Deep appreciation for all of you guys. And we will see you in the Facebook group. Have a good day.